Hi, welcome back to SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pensacola, New Jersey. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mike.
And we're here to talk to you about different things going on in the world of sports. I think it's pretty obvious what our topic is going to be today, considering where we stand in the NFL season. So, Mike, what do you got?
Well, before we go there, let's just tell our viewers that our friend Ed is not here today. He'll be back after the first of the year for future episodes of SwamiLee's Sports Talk. He's a little under the weather.
Actually, he won't be back until the second week because that SOB is going to Florida.
Well, I said after. I didn't say when.
You know, does he ask me if I can go with him? Did he ask me? No, he didn't ask me. You know, so it hurts a little bit, but I'll get over it, I promise.
Well, actually, he asked the boss who said you couldn't go because she couldn't go.
Well, way to look at it. I don't know. But anyway, let's move on to our first topic, and you got?
Well, the Eagles clinched home field throughout the NFC playoffs. They did it in a rather ugly and unconvincing fashion, but a win is a win.
Is a win.
So let's talk about where things go from here. First, what's Doug Peterson going to do in Week 17? Clearly, the coaching staff needs to adjust to the change from Wentz to Foles. Foles and his receivers need more time to gel. So, even though the season will be over, if Nick Foles goes down with an injury in Week 17, how much is he going to play?
Well, if I was Doug Peterson, first of all, I would have bought that truck for me a couple years ago, but let's just move past that. If I was Doug Peterson, I would start Nick Foles in the first half of the game. He needs reps. He needs to recover from that debacle last week, a couple days ago. They were terrible. But you know what? They won. At the end of the day, they won. They may have won ugly, but they won. The defense was strong. The offense was very inconsistent, very choppy. You put Foles out there for the first half. Doesn't matter, good or bad. Just get him some reps. And then you bring in Nate Sudfeld, or whatever your name is. Why not? This may be his only chance to ever play in the NFL. So let him have his couple minutes in the sun, and then sign Jamarcus Russell. And then just see what happens once the playoffs start. That's my thing. What about you?
I agree. Nick needs a half, possibly more if they don't spend too much time with the ball in that first half. He needs more time to gel with his receivers. He needs more time to adjust to the playbook, and just as important, the people who design their offensive strategy and who call the plays clearly need to remember that Foles and Wentz have different skill sets, and just like Andy Reid's Eagles did when Jeff Garcia came in 2006, and you got to give Andy credit because he adjusted well to Jeff. Doug and Frank Reich need to do a better job of adjusting to what Nick Foles can and cannot do.
I don't know many coaches or quarterbacks or whatever you want to call them that are more equipped to work with a backup quarterback in a playoff game than Frank Reich. What was that score of that game at the half? 35-3 or 31-3?
It was 35-3.
And the backup quarterback of the Bills, who has been a veteran backup, never really did much, came out and they won, what was it, 38-35 or 41-38 or
They won by a field goal.
Craziness. I mean, it was the Oilers they were playing, right? So
it was.
It may not have counted because their postseason is kind of a joke, but that's beside the point. But really, the Eagles, they really, really have to adjust. That offense has got to pick it up. They can't. You're not going to win the Super Bowl the way they beat the Raiders. You can't win 2 games, 3 games in a row in the playoffs that way.
Or for that matter, the way they beat the Giants, falling behind by 13 in the first half.
I'm okay with 1 bad game. I'm not okay with 2 bad games. Every team has a bad game, even if they win, and that gets lost. The Steelers had 4 games in a row they didn't play well, but they won all 4 of those games. Then they won a game and it got taken away from them, but we're not going to go there right this second. So I think, how far are the Eagles going to go in the playoffs?
There's only one team in the NFC that I really worry about. That team is?
I'm not really worried about any teams in the NFC, so for that reason, I have no answers for you.
Well, the only team in the NFC that really worries me is New Orleans. Drew Brees even though he's getting older, is still one hell of a wily veteran. Sean Payton's a great coach. They have a lot of offensive weapons. Kamara and Ingram are, without question, the best backfield in the NFL.
Are you on drugs? Were you smoking something before you came out here? I'm just curious. I know you can get in trouble at work for that, but I mean,
Well,
were you like shooting up, or you toking up, or what
who
were
do
you
you think was
doing?
better, Le'Veon Bell?
Really? I mean, I might be taking him seriously now. I mean,
No,
seriously. Now
Kamara
he's
and
just,
Ingram are the best backfield combination in the NFL.
I'll take Le'Veon Bell and anyone else over any other backfield in the NFL.
And you know what? If I can have Kamara and Ingram, then you're welcome to Le'Veon and anybody else.
There we go. See, we agree on something, don't we? Don't we? We agree on something. Well, anyway, we're going to go take a commercial break, and we'll be back with you shortly. It's SwamiLee's Sports Talk, SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Hello, I'm Dickie Knowles, 1980 Philadelphia Phillies pitcher. That was the year we won the World Series, our very first in our history. And when I'm in South Jersey, I love stopping at SwamiLee's for the best card selection in the Delaware Valley area.
And we're back with SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pennsauken, New Jersey. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mike.
And we just discussed the Eagles and their hopes and dreams of the Super Bowl. So now we're going to discuss the team that's going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl 2017/2018, which is going to be...
What can we say about the Patriots?
Oh, ouch. Well, actually, we can jump right into it. First of all, with Gronk is a beast. We all know that. If Gronk doesn't play that game last week, forget the touchdown at the end of the game. The Patriots get their doors blown off. And that made me feel good. That being said, it worries me because he's probably going to be playing, though he gets hurt a lot. Then again, he shouldn't have been playing because he should have gotten suspended for more than one game for clotheslining a guy. But that's beside the point.
Who was it? It might have been you who said that having Gronk on the field is legally cheating.
And that was not me, but it sounds good to me. He just tore them apart. He caught everything in sight, and they couldn't cover him. And what everybody seems to say is when you have a guy 5'7" covering Gronk, you're in trouble. But you know. So, what is your pick for the AFC?
Well, before the Antonio Brown injury, I actually would have picked Pittsburgh to go to the Super Bowl, even if the Super Bowl went through Foxborough. Now, I have to rethink that. Now, I think I'm going to have to go with New England.
So, I apologize. I didn't realize that you finished your medical training. So, you now are able to determine the extent of the injury of Antonio Brown. So, you are definitely a double threat. I mean, he knows the law and he knows medicine. That is really impressive for somebody, okay? I'm going to say that to you right now. And to complete it at your age, my memory is half shot. To go through 8 years of medical school at this age is something else, and I'm very impressed by it.
So you think that Brown coming back at less than 100% is going to be the Brown that you're accustomed to seeing?
Not exactly. And I've got concerns. I have concerns that Tomlin doesn't take Roethlisberger out of the game towards the end of the season, up by 3 touchdowns against a bad team, as Roethlisberger played 3.5 quarters. Bell stayed in the game almost 3.5 quarters. I have concerns from that perspective that he'll play him in bad spots. I don't know. My point really was I don't know the extent of the injury. Maybe it is bad enough. Maybe he will not play the rest of the season. I don't know that right now. Well, but I don't think you do either. It's
well,
kind of where I'm
let
going
me
with
ask
this
you something.
Ask me something.
Monday, the Steelers played, as I recall.
That is correct.
And I seem to recall seeing quite a lot of, was it Woodley running out of the backfield?
For what team?
Former Patriot.
Ridley.
Ridley.
Stephen Ridley. Woodley was a defensive player that left the Steelers in the last year or two. Stephen
Ridley. Whatever.
Ridley should have played the last quarter and a half, is my point. Houston's a terrible team. Half their team is injured. They weren't going to win.
That game was out of reach for Houston, certainly by early in the third quarter.
Right. Why in heaven's name are you playing Roethlisberger and Bell that long? I mean, I'll tell you right now, against Cleveland this week, I start Landry Jones. I start Ridley and the infamous Fitzgerald Toussaint. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. It's halftime. It's 17-10 Browns, you can't lose this game. Maybe I bring back Roethlisberger, just even though I shouldn't. But you've got to be conservative. I mean, you just have to be. And you know, also, if the Patriots are winning 21-3 at the half, then the game doesn't mean anything.
And let's go there. What do you think about the way the NFL reshuffled their schedule during the last weekend to try to avoid having one team being able to wait on another team's outcome before setting the roster?
That's not what happened. What happened
Absolutely, that's what happened.
No, it isn't. The NFL said, "Oh my God, our ratings are going to be so low on New Year's Eve. We have got to get games out of there because we have that Papa John's fiasco, that moron who, by the way, is no longer Papa John, commenting on how the NFL's ratings are hurting them. You've got people in Baltimore not showing up. They can't afford it. They realized they're going to have low ratings, not to mention possibly low turnout at a night game that night.
So what they did was they had all the AFC games with playoff implications are at 1.
Right. They tried to justify
and all
it.
the NFC games with playoff implications.
Not all of them. The Ravens play at 4:25.
It doesn't matter.
Are you kidding me? As much as I hate to admit it, the Ravens will probably make in the playoffs. I can't believe it. It boggles my mind, but nonetheless, the Ravens look like they're going to make the playoffs. And there's no reason they shouldn't, based on the way it's going. But Goodell is afraid. The ratings are suffering, but you know what? It's probably suffering mainly because people have too many other choices. Too many other choices. Look around at dinner time. You know what you see at dinner time in a restaurant? You see all the kids going like this the entire time. Okay? They don't even talk to each other anymore. Okay? They have too many options. You're not going to get the ratings that you got 10 years ago across the board. You might when the Steelers play the Patriots for the championship, the AFC championship, you'll get great ratings for that game. But when you have the Chiefs playing the Jaguars, your ratings are going to suffer. It's just that simple.
Well, if the Chiefs and Jaguars are representative of the playoff games you're going to have in the first or second round, then the ratings should suffer.
Correct. So we're running out of time, but we got to cover one thing real fast, okay? Before we go, that is James Harrison and the Pittsburgh Steelers. For those that don't know, longtime Steelers defensive player who is one of the best in franchise history, was actually cut before week 15 he's only played, I think I read, 40 snaps the entire season. And he wasn't very happy about that. But how in God's name do you cut a guy who you know is going over to a team that needs defenders, like the Patriots? How do you do that? I mean, I realize, I don't know, Mike, what are your thoughts on that before I go any further?
If I had a good, sensible, logical explanation for that, I'd offer it. But I don't. And I don't think Pittsburgh does either. It's just a mistake.
But they don't make mistakes like that. That's the thing. No, if you look at the Steelers franchise, when they let players go, it's usually at the right time. I can't think of 3 times that they let a player go at the wrong time since I've been following them in 1974. I know one of them was Chad Brown. Okay? Alan Faneca was too expensive, so that's why he left. But, I mean, they let go of Joey Porter, Lamar Woodley, Franco Harris, for God's sake. They were all past their prime when they were let go. Even Greg Lloyd. But the one thing I will say, I'm going to leave you with this last thought of the day, he is not bringing the playbook over to New England. The teams shuffle their plays. It's not like they use one playbook for the entire season.
And not only that, but they shuffle their verbiage. So the verbiage that you hear one week from players who are mic'd up might not be there the next week.
Seriously. So for those of you who are saying that that's the reason, it ain't. That being said, I would not put it past Bill Belichick to pick him up solely to get any kind of clues on the Steelers game in general. That would not surprise me.
And Harrison has been around that team, not just the players, but the coaching staff, long enough that he probably does have some insight to offer Belichick that Belichick wouldn't get any other way.
Well, he'll have the cameras up in the for practice.
Oh, now that stopped.
It's allegedly stopped.
But there was nothing to see. I mean, Goodell told us he saw the tapes. Nothing to see.
You should research that one. They claim there was a lot going on there, but again.
But Goodell said there was nothing to see.
Yeah.
I feel reassured.
Roger,
don't you?
Roger, take a long walk off a short pier, okay? Anyway.
Should he take his $44 million a year contract with him, or
doesn't he get a private jet the rest of his life?
Plus health insurance for the entire family. Don't forget that.
Because he doesn't make enough money as it is. Anyway, we need to wrap this episode up.
But let me just add
Oh boy.
that thanks to our fine president's tax reform bill, at least the NFL's costs in connection with Rogers Jet will be tax deductible. So that's got to make you feel better, Swami.
On that note, I'm Swami Lee,
I'm Mike.
and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.